Stacking the those with Bravo and Pronto, shit went left, niggas got took. Even if my niggas still get booked, I still put money up on they books. 223 AR15, put a scope on the bitch, like how it look. First lit, 4600 in my pocket, I was a rook. I was a rook.
Hey guys, got another firearm to do a video on. I'm gonna try to make this video quick. The bag, it's very simple. It's kind of one of those floppy type bags. It's not super rigid. I got it for really cheap. I got it online. I want to say eBay. It was like from Florida, I believe is where it was shipped from. And it's just kind of one of those soft, it was like folded up. And it was only, I want to say 25, 30, probably I think it's 30 shipped. Whatever. So on the inside, there actually are some magazine pouches. So that's good for sure. There are 4 of them. I do have magazines in there. I'll show you those later. And then on the other side, there's like straps so you can strap it down. That's kind of useful, but it is just a little floppy. But for the price, not too bad. It fits this gun absolutely perfect. It's a mid-length carbine, so it is an absolutely perfect fit for this gun. So this is a AR15 build, 14.5 inch. So it is a pistol. That's why the pistol brace is on it. So from Palmetto State, I bought a full complete lower with a PDW brace on it, the SB PDW brace. I may make a video on that gun. I've actually never made a video on it, but I've had that for about 2 years. That's my shortest AR. I used the PDW brace on that because it makes more sense, because that is a shorter barrel, so it makes sense to have the collapsible brace on there that goes in quite a bit. So I ended up using the buffer tube and the SBA3 on this gun. So it is technically a pistol. It's stupid US gun laws where you have to have a 16-inch barrel for a stock on it. Just makes almost no sense. Really, it makes no sense. You can do a 14.5 pin and weld flash hider or muzzle brake pin and weld muzzle device. This is not pin and welded. I didn't want to do that because, one, that's a permanent mod. That's not really the negative for it. The negative is the work that has to be done. There has to be a hole drilled like in the flash hider and in the barrel, and then you drive a pin through it and it pins it. Or I guess you can weld it. I don't have a welder or those skills. I'm sure I can figure it out, considering I can do lots of other mechanical things. Mechanical work. But I decided just to put the pistol brace on here and just have a regular length compensator. A CAC compensator is what I used. They do make an extended version for that 16-inch overall length, which is just an absolute joke, considering with the regular length, this is about 15.5 inches. So I'm a ½ inch short from 16 overall, but it still has to have a brace on it. Well, and right now the DOJ is trying to ban these braces pretty much, or restrict them in ridiculous ways, unenforceable ways. They're just trying to get you to comply, because they're a bunch of authoritarians. Now you may be asking, why would I do this length? Well, I have 2 others. So I did an 18-inch, which is a longer one, 14.5, and then 10.5. So I have literally short, medium, long, is the way I consider it, because 18 is long, 14.5 inches a mid-length carbine. 14.5 is what the M4 uses for the US military. It's really nothing special or anything. The longer barrels will get higher velocity and do more damage and tissue damage and higher velocity, whatever. They'll tumble better, but these don't do bad, especially out to 500 yards or so. This will still be effective. So with that out of the way, I'm just going to start from the back and go to the front. So I have the SBA3 brace on here. It's nice. I have really no problems with it. The brace, for those people that don't know, you can put your arm through it. If disabled for whatnot. Now that can be a problem in terms of optics, because this sight right here, if I were to put the brace on or even just shoot it like this, the eye relief is ridiculous because it's so far away from my face. With the red dot, that's not a problem. With open sights, that can also be a problem. Going out like this with like a peephole back sight and, you know, like just a post front sight, it's really hard to see and shoot. So red dots are probably the best if you're going to brace it, you know, shoot it like a standard pistol. But nobody can tell you how to shoot this. Nobody can, the ATF can't say you can't shoulder it, you're repurposing the weapon. That makes absolutely no sense. An action that you can make. They're just trying to scare people and just basically sling crap at the wall and see what sticks. And it ain't sticking, because you can't tell me how I can shoot my gun and how I can't. It's safer to brace it against your gun, especially if we're talking to self-defense. You want to shoot accurately and not shoot your neighbors across the street by shooting through your wall. You want to be able to accurately make contact, basically, if you have to. So shouldering it and using sight picture makes more sense. Now for this, I'm not using this as home defense and a magnified optic, even though I can go down to 1x. No thanks. I have better guns suited for that. Open sights or red dots are just great for home defense. But even when you're talking about shooting like that, it's just not as good as bracing the weapon like you're supposed to. The ABC agencies basically just want to control every aspect of firearms. Don't let them do it. Don't fall for it. Moving forward, we have a Palmetto State lower receiver. The upper receiver is Aero Precision. I purchased this from CAC Industries on their website, KAK. They're actually out of California. But this is an Aero Precision OEM. They call it the CAC, it's a stripped upper, but it's got the A logo on it, which from the research that I've done is pretty much Aero Precision's same thing, comes from that factory. So that's what's on here. I forget what coating it is, what finish. It's a little bit different than the lower, but not by much. The shade is about the same. And the lower is Palmetto State, if I didn't already say that. The selector switch that I have in here is a Seekins. It is 45 degree. It is ambidextrous. It is bigger on this side, and then on the other side, it's smaller. The grip on here is Hogue. If I'm not mistaken, so here's the box for it. It is a 15 degree angle. It's actually more straight than anything. I also have this on my 10.5. It feels more comfortable in my opinion, and also it kind of pushes my hand up further towards the trigger, which means I can shoot it faster. Of course, it's unloaded, but I can shoot it faster because my fingers got, I don't know, it's hard to describe. So on this, you can see a drastic difference. The old Magpul, see how there's that lip on the back? Some people like that, but that literally just pushes your hand back, your whole hand, and it's just, I have small fingers, like my hand's not super big, so the reach on my trigger, my actual finger, is not that great. So when you bump it up right to the receiver, I can shoot much faster just doing this way. The trigger is a Rave. I forget the exact model, like the Rave 140, but it is the blade trigger. I do have two Raves. The one in my 10.5 is different. It's just a different profile, but they are both 3.5 pound, and they're only about $100. I mean, that is a killer deal for a good quality trigger. Now, the pins, these are not anti-rotation type pins. So the way this one locks in is different than my other Rave. This one has screws like up and down when you open the receiver up that you have to tighten. So I could get anti-rotation pins that cost more. Not that expensive. I just decided to pop the new pins in, or the old pins in here, and just see how it works and see if it's reliable. So there's screws that push down to basically lift the trigger box, and then it locks into the pins, if you will. It's nice and tight. They did loosen up a hair, and then I went back down in here and tightened those screws again after my first couple 100 rounds, and seems fine now. Worst case, I spend, what, $20-30 for anti-rotation pins. Not a big deal. The other thing I have in the lower receiver is the Magpul bad lever. So this allows you to drop the bolt or lock the gun back with your trigger finger over here. So here's where it would lock. Push it down to release the bolt, or you can lift up and then rack it and lock the gun back. So it's a lot easier to manipulate the weapon when you don't have to rather grab the gun, push the bolt catch down like this, and then rack with this hand. The buffer tube is a Stoner brand heavy buffer H2. Now, for those that have no idea, the lighter buffers are basically for the longer setups because there's more dwell time, more time for the round to expel out of the end of the barrel and then kick the casing out, so it can be lighter. Whereas with a shorter barrel, this gas system is quite a bit shorter. This is as short as my 10.5. Believe it or not, my 10.5 needed a H2 buffer. It was having problems with the regular one, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to ditch the regular weight, buy an H2. This is like 30-35 bucks, kind of expensive, but the tungsten, buffers kind of are, but it's buy once. I've never had a problem with one of them. It just gives a little bit more resistance, so the pressure can drop in the barrel, because your bolt can go back too fast, too hard, too quick, and essentially what will happen is it'll damage the inside of the receiver. That started to happen with my 10.5, and I was like, whoa, I need to switch to the H2. Put it in there, and then the wear on the receiver stopped. So the charging handle and bolt carrier that I'm using right here, I have the Radian Raptor charging handle. These are very expensive. I did buy it from my brother. He bought a bunch of them and got a pretty good deal on like 10 of them, I think. So I think I paid him $75 for it, which normally they're 90. He may be able to find them for $80 if they're on sale. It's great. These are always great. I think they have like a lifetime warranty or something. They're US made, and it is ambidextrous. This is a Toolcraft bolt carrier. I forget the specs on this. You're gonna have to forgive me. I don't have them pulled up because I'm filming with my phone. I should have written them down or something, but it was 90 shipped, I believe, 80 or 90 shipped. A very budget bolt carrier, MPI tested. It says C158, so 158. I think that's Carpenter 158. That's exactly what that is. Bolt head, so take that for what you will. The upper receiver also has a Makita dust cover. So for those guys that know tools, Makita is a tool brand. I use a Makita drill at work every day, and so I kind of sport that. And there's a website that sells these like meme, I guess you could call them, custom dust covers. The paint is kind of cheap, so the paint flicks off really quickly, but they're so genius. They're so awesome. If they just could like Cerakote this logo, I'd pay for that. So I did buy one Magpul mag. They upcharged for them, of course, but it's Makita. It's the same website. I think it's called My Southern Tactical, kind of a weird name for a site. But they sell all sorts of these things. The paint on the mag does seem to be better. It's not rubbing off or flaking off quite like the dust cover. So I got 30 rounds in there. It's just a 30 round. All my other mags are not Magpul. I really don't use Magpul mags. They're just too basic for me because everyone's got them. So I use the Lancer 5, like the clear ones. And I only pay 10 bucks for them. And they are gray. It is KCI. So KCI is known for their mags that are made in Korea. I believe these are probably Korea as well. There's no made in Korea, but I use these all the time. I've got 4 of them in here, brand new. I literally just pulled it out of the package. All of them are packaged in there. I do have one of these as a range mag that I've been beating around for about 2 years. Never had a problem with it. Very good feeding magazines. The anti-tilt follower. See, I can't even get it to tilt. They're nice and durable, and they're extremely light. When there's no ammo in this, it weighs just as much as pretty much just as much as like a PMag empty. The aluminum does not weigh much more than polymer. Moving forward, the rail on here is Midwest Industries. It is a M-LOK rail. On the top, I just have ladder rail covers, just rubber if I want to put my thumb on the top. And if I move it back and forth, I'm not scratching myself on the rail because that literally would hurt. It's nice and smooth. The other covers on the sides and bottom are Slate Black brand. I've got 2 of the 3 slots on each side. You can see there and there. And then I have, 1 3 slot on the bottom. And then I have a hand stop, which is metal, and then 1 slot on the front. Also on this side, I have cut. As you see, I cut the 1 section off to put a QD slot. So it goes back to my pistol brace so I can attach a sling. So the barrel is a 14.5 inch. It is a 1 in 7 twist NATO. That's what the barrel is marked. I want to say it's made by like Green Mountain Barrels or something like that. They're OEM'd through them. Go on CAC's website. They do have two different 14.5 inch. The one gets thinner at the end. This one. So again, it's not a pencil barrel. It's not a heavy barrel. It's like in between. It may be the NATO. I forget what they call it. I really do forget what they call it. It's like on the tip of my tongue. I do have the CAC compensator on the end as well. Just like I did with my 10.5, I did drill one hole out the bottom just as a relief cut. You may think that's stupid and I'm crazy. I swear to you though, the muzzle on my 10.5 was pretty violently low because it shoots all the gases up, so the rifle is supposed to go down, and it was down too much. I cut one relief hole on the bottom of that one, and I swear to you, it balanced the gun out just a little bit more, maybe like 10%. I don't know, but like it just a little bit of gas is going to go down a hair bit, so it just kind of balances a little bit more instead of just Crossfire 2 by Vortex. I bought this, believe it or not, off Amazon. The only thing I support buying off Amazon is gun stuff. That's pretty much all I get. And some things here and there, but not a regular buyer unless it's gun stuff. It is a 4x zoom. You can go 1 to 4. I kind of regret not getting a 1 to 6, but like the cheapest 1 to 6s I could find was $100. So do I just settle and get a 1 to 4 for $300 free shipping, you know, or 400 and get a 1 to 4 or 1 to 6? I just did the cheaper thing. I doubt I'm ever going to have to shoot past very far anyways, so I just settled. Vortex is pretty dang good. It does have the manual in here, which I literally never actually read because I know my way around a scope. And then there's a big old cloth that's got their logo on it and then caps on the end that you cannot see through. So I hope you can see that. It's on 4 and I keep twisting it. 2.5 goes by half increments. It's easy to grab a hold. Some of them do have a knob out of the top, which would be cool in my opinion, but it's only a $300 optic. If I wanted to spend more, I could have a quick adjust knob. The top one here is for the brightness. This does illuminate. It's pretty cool. I'll try to show you through the camera, but there is a red dot in the middle for like night shooting or close range. If you wanted to go to 1 magnification, turn the brightness up pretty high, and then it kind of turns into a red dot, which is pretty dope. So it's basically for close to mid-range, I would say. So you may not be able to tell on camera, so I have the brightness all the way up there, so it looks pretty good. So that's as bright as it gets on 1 magnification. Just for range, basically just the steel case. Wolf and Tula are the most accessible steel case and the cheapest, like $6 a box for 20 rounds roughly. 7 is kind of 6 to 7 depending on where you get it at. Just for range, just to go out and blast some rounds through it. I think I've shot about 300 rounds of this stuff through it, and it's done just great. And then I've shot about 150 of this Norma. This is green tip. So this is actually made in Switzerland. SS109 556 62 grain. So I do have it sighted in for this ammo, the green tip. That is one of my favorite rounds, pretty much mild steel core. It's not armor piercing or armor penetrating. This will not pass through like ceramic and steel plate armors. It'll pass through soft body armor, but so will the non-steel core 556. Even out of a freaking 10 inch, it would still pass through soft body armor. Even a 7.5 inch, because it's a fast round. Very, very light and very short, like take up. Couple millimeters. It's a really, really good trigger. I highly recommend the Raves.